Grace Hopper was an American computer scientist and U.S. Navy Rear Admiral. One of the first programmers of the Harvard Mark I computer, she was a pioneer of computer programming and invented one of the first linkers. Hopper was the first to devise the theory of machine-independent programming languages, and the Flowmatic programming language she created using this theory was later extended to create COBOL, an early high-level programming language still in use today. Following her retirement from the Navy, she was hired as a senior consultant to Digital Equipment Corporation. Hopper represented the company at industry forums, serving on various industry committees, along with other obligations. She retained that position until her death at age 85 in 1992. One of my favorite quotes attributed to Ms. Hopper: "You manage things, you lead people. We went overboard on management and forgot about leadership. It might help if we ran the MBAs out of Washington." In March of 2021, I read an article from Canada's Globe and Mail in the Report on Small Business section. The article focused on initial public offerings, affectionately known as IPOs, by small Canadian businesses. My issue was that none of the three businesses featured was actually a small business. One had about 500 employees, making it a large business. The other two were medium-sized businesses. Apparently, businesses aren't important enough to be covered by Canada's national business newspaper, even when they're writing articles for the Report on Small Business section, until they're at least a medium-sized business. A few weeks ago, I was looking at an article in Wikipedia that describes Dropbox in these terms. Dropbox has been ranked as one of the most valuable startups in the US and the world, with a valuation of over US $10 billion. And it has been described as one of Y Combinator's most successful investments to date. But I have to ask myself, how does a $10 billion corporation get called a startup? In our world, distortions like these are everywhere. University business schools, the business press, and the business professions all appear to be looking at the world through the wrong end of the telescope. You can be excused for being a little dazed and confused by the wild hype surrounding gazelles and unicorns. Sociologist Howard Aldrich at the University of North Carolina's Business School has addressed this bias in a video he published online in November of 2018. You can click the link below to check out Professor Aldrich's video. Anyway, according to Aldrich, entrepreneurship researchers at universities, as well as the business press, have focused on the black swans of the entrepreneurial world, even though IPOs and venture capital financing of firms are extremely rare events. Despite the rarity of IPOs and obtaining venture capital, entrepreneurship conferences and journals have been filled with papers on various aspects of the process of going public in VC networks. Correcting the misperception that has been introduced through selection biases favoring growing and profitable firms will give scholars and policymakers a much more accurate and policy-relevant picture of entrepreneurship in the 21st century. About 92% of Canadian businesses have 9 or fewer employees. Their accounting, tax, and business advisory needs are significantly different than those of the remaining 8% of businesses in this country. While the accounting profession wants us to move into a world driven by data, they seem to have forgotten that particular statistic. Calibrate Me and the Small Business Analyst Society of Canada were formed to meet the needs of the real businesses in Canada and the 78% of CPA firms with 1 or 2 practitioners that actually service those businesses.